Hello everyone, welcome to this week's Vibrant Music Teacher Chat. So good to be back with you. Finally, it feels like, right? So we haven't been here for a few weeks, and the last time we were here, I had to cut it a little bit short, a little bit early if you were here for that. So we haven't had like a full one, it feels like, in ages. So hopefully today we'll have some good chats. Really looking forward to it. So today we're talking about pop songs. I'm going to give you 4 different pop songs that my students love playing along to, and sort of little sections of them that are particularly catchy or useful in some teaching sense, but that students love. They're not all like current hits, but they are ones that I found even my tweens actually know, even though they're quite a few years old. So we'll be going through those later and sort of how I use them and where it came from and that kind of thing. But before we get there, I'd love to just hear how you're doing. So I've got my iPad open beside me because we're in the different setup today in my teaching room. I'm going to keep an eye on the chat as best as I can without as much technology in this room around me. So yeah, let me know how you're doing. How was your break, if you had a break? Did you just finish spring break, or what have you been doing since I last saw you? I see Motif Music Studios is here. Coffee at the ready. Love it. Carrie, welcome. Music Kitchen and I'm the Music Alone. Good break. Yes, I did have a good break. None of it was officially a break, but yes. So I was at the conference, the MTNA, which is a Music Teacher National Association, national being US, conference in Reno, Nevada. So if you're watching and I saw you there, hello, great to see you. It was fabulous. It was my first time at that particular conference. So that was really fun for me to just see it. You know, I'd heard about it from various teachers that I know and things, but I never made it over. And this time I got accepted to speak over there and I thought, right, we're going to try. We're going to go all the way to Reno. So I went over myself and another teacher from Colourful Keys went together, and it was just a blast. When we got back, I can't remember where this was, but Christina Whitlock is one of the people that I was hanging out with over there. She's from the Beyond Measure podcast, and when we got back, I think it was in her Instagram stories, she said, apparently 1 week of socializing does me a whole lot of good for a long time. And I kind of agreed with that. Like 1 week of socializing with other piano teachers can just make an enormous difference. So with that in mind, there's another conference coming up this summer that we're going to be at in an even bigger way, in a way, because we're going to have a stand there, a table in the exhibit hall, booth, that's what they call them. So VMT is going to be there, have our own table and everything, and that is NCKP, so that's National Conference on Keyboard Pedagogy. That's run by the Francis Clark Center, and it is just outside Chicago. In Illinois. So if you're anywhere near there, or even if you're not near there, like I haven't, maybe you can consider going. I have been to that one. This will be my 3rd NCKP. Feels like I've been even more times than that, but no, it'll be my 3rd NCKP. So everyone has been better than the last so far. I think this one will be even better than the other 2. So I hope you might consider going there. If you are going, especially members who are going, will you let me know whether you'd like me to organise some kind of member meetup? I'm happy to do that. However, I know there's a lot of stuff going on during the conference, and I will sort of see you around as well. Would you like an official VMT Flamingo meetup? Or would you like to just, not schedule another thing, I guess. It could be a lunch though, or a drinks meetup, soft drinks of course, if you prefer, or it could be a dinner. The only thing about the dinner, it's often the first thing people think of, but it's not always the best for a really big group, because you sit down, and even more so than a lunch, you tend to stay sitting where you are, right? So you only talk to the people beside you. So I sometimes think like a coffee or a lunch in a casual setting is sometimes better because you mix up a bit more, or as I say, drinks or something like that. Yeah, let me know if you're interested in that. I'll only put it together if it's something that members really want me to do, but I'm happy to do it if you do. Motif Music Studios doing pretty good. A wee bit sore as I played soccer yesterday. Nice. I haven't played soccer probably since I was about, I'd say, maximum 11. I know I haven't played it since primary school, like elementary school, because it was only when I was forced to play it. Not really a fan of soccer myself, but I hope you enjoyed it. I'm sure it was a blast. And yeah, I am traveling quite far. Yeah, I'm doing a lot of traveling this year. It feels like it's making up for lost traveling during the pandemic time. I'm not doing it on purpose, it's just sort of happening that way. So I just went to MTNA. Before that I was at EPTA last September, so that's the European one. MTNA was in March. In July I'm going to NCKP, which is in Chicago, and then in September I'm going to Canada, to the Alberta Piano Teacher Association. That one has been postponed since 2020. So it's 2023, we're finally doing the version of the 2020 conference that we were supposed to do. So that's going to be extra special. Really has caught up from the pandemic. And then I may go to MTNA again next March. I'm hoping that's going to be possible because there's no NCKP next summer. That's every 2 years. Anyway, that's all my traveling news. But MTNA itself was fantastic. I loved the mix of sessions. I'd say some of my favourite sessions were on the first day. So if you're ever going to MTNA, they do something called Pedagogy Saturday, which is like a separate part of your ticket. So you have to pay extra for it for just that day. And then the rest of the conference is kind of one package. I don't know why it's split up that way. It's probably just one of those things that evolved over time. But that was a lot of my favourite, most actionable sessions were actually on the first day, the Pedagogy Saturday. So that's just a little tip. Maybe you want to try and eke that in there if you can. It's not that they're different, they're kind of just on different tracks and they're organised by different committees. So it just so happened that many of the ones that I was like, right, I'm using this straight away, were actually on that first day. But I saw great sessions for the rest of the conference too. So it was fantastic. Yes, I will be in Canada. Yes, I'm really excited about that. I have been before. I've been to Toronto and a couple of places in the surrounding area just for fun. I have a friend who lives in Toronto, but I have not been anywhere further west than that. So heading to Alberta is going to be something special. I'm going to try and make it to Lake Louise while I'm there. So I'm looking forward to that. Yeah, definitely consider it. Look, if you've never been to a conference, honestly, I was so butterflied. That means nervous and like jittery before I went to the first one that I went to. But it was entirely worth it. I went to NCKP in 2017, so it's not even that long ago. And that was my first like big conference that I went to. Before that, I'd only been to things in Ireland. And it was entirely worth it. It was just spectacular to be in rooms with that many piano teachers, to have this amount of choice of all these different sessions and be exposed to things you would never think to look up yourself. That's the thing about conferences, because when you're at home, you stay in your bubble, right? So you might be really interested in researching Kodai or something. But at a conference, you'll go to a random session that's about the intersection of judo and music, and it'll spark a whole new idea for you. And that's what's most special about it, in my opinion. Plus the connection with other teachers, that can't be that can't be underestimated. Sorry, I'm giggling because that is one of my mum's pet peeve sayings that people get wrong. People say cannot be overestimated, and they mean the opposite. So I was trying not to get it backwards there because she would be ashamed. Not that she watches this. She's not a piano teacher. Okay, so that's a conference. That's our catch up. Let me know if you are coming to NCQP because I'd love to hear if you want to organise that meetup. We're going to talk about pop songs today. So let me tell you the genesis of some of these pop songs, where they came from. I started doing a thing this year. Nope, that's incorrect. Last year. I started doing last academic year. So actually it's 2 years ago if we're talking about calendar years. But I digress. Okay, so I started doing this a couple of years ago. It's called Jam Band. And it is a weekly meetup, very casual, half-hour session that is like a bonus thing I offer for my tweens and teens. So in Ireland, it's 6th class and above. So for us, that's the last year of primary school, which is like elementary school, and up to 18. So anyone who's in the last year of primary school all the way through is invited to come to this. And I put the dividing line there because I wanted to do, part of the reason I'm doing this is to get over that hump of moving to secondary school and falling out of love with piano because other things take over and there's a lot of pressure and everything. So that's why it starts when it does. And what it is a weekly session where we just get together and, as the name implies, jam band, we just jam, okay? So they come here, whoever's available. It's normally only a couple of students, but I still think it's worth it to do that. And we just play songs using chord charts. So just like you would look at for if you were a guitarist. We play along 2 songs. So I play them, I connect to my piano via Bluetooth. Anyway, I play them through a speaker. It just happens to be in my piano. I play them and we play along, and I don't teach. If they have questions, they ask me as we go. Like, they know they're welcome to do that, but I don't spend time lecturing. I don't try to teach any concepts. We're just playing. That's the whole point. We're just going to play along. And students at any level, remember it's around age 11 and higher, but any level can come because they can just play the one note, just the root note of each chord as we go through, or you can even just play a tambourine or just sing the words. It's very relaxed, very informal. And over time, the students who come pretty consistently, they've gotten really good at playing in time with music, at recognizing when the chord is going to change, recognizing all these different chord symbols. And over time, they start asking me about, why does it say sus4 there? And I can show them what it is in that particular instance, and they start to explore different chords. But it's all about them being curious. It's not about me. It's not a lesson structure where I'm guiding them through something. It's mostly about them discovering it themselves. So this is going to allow them to play along with their friends who play guitar or play bass or anything like that. And more than anything, it's just fun and it's social and it's completely low pressure. So if you have a teen that goes through dips in their practice, when you have a teen that goes through dips in their practice, because they do, they still can come to this session. I'm not going to nag them about anything they were supposed to do for their lessons, and you don't have to be prepared for this. You just show up and play using the skills you already have. So you get to just embrace what you already have learned. So that's jam band. You don't have to be doing a jam band to use these songs, but that is where I've pulled them from. So I started that list with a few songs that I thought, I think they'll recognize these ones, right? So I started with that, and then I started taking requests from my students. And once there are about 10 or so songs that I had jotted down as requests from them, I would look them up and add them to our folder. So it's just sort of growing over time. This is what our folder looks like. And I just have a sort of contents in the front. It's very loosely organized because it changes so often, like I add more songs. But whenever they have asked me for about 10 or so, I spend a while looking them up, editing them a bit, not correcting every mistake, because I actually want them to recognize that sometimes you will know better than the person who created that chord chart. And that is fine. It's not about it being perfect, but I do edit it just to make them a better use of the page. That's just me being like, save the trees. Okay, so I edit them a bit and I add them in. And so these 6 songs that I've picked out are from our general jam band list, and they're ones that are interesting for some particular reason. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a sort of student-friendly version of the first one. And first I'd like to just see if you can recognize what it is. We'll see how we go. So if you have a guess of what this is, let me know in the chat. I'm going to do an easier version first, so it goes. I'll just show you the chords first actually. So we've got an F, an A, a D minor, and a B flat. So I'll show you those once more. Okay, and here's my slow version of the student-friendly kind of arrangement of this little bit of the song. That's not it, sorry. So I'm playing that between two hands, just to show you how a student with smaller hands or less coordination could do it, or you could do that with one hand and do the root note down here. D minor. Does anyone know what it is? I'll do it once more, then I'll tell you. I don't think anyone guessed it. I'm going to just show you my rough work. I've just got a whiteboard for these today. So it's the top one. The initials are there. Can anyone figure it out? I-N-T-O-O. I-N-T-O-O. What is that? I know it's a song students recognize. So you might not recognize it. It's not super new though. It's, oh gosh, I'd hate to think how old it is because that marks the passage of time, doesn't it? It might even be 10 years old. I'm not sure. Carrie said, love the cover of the jam band. Thank you, Carrie. That was fun to put together and impress some of my students. So I just get a kick out of stuff like that. By the way, for members that are watching, if you want more jam band info, there's a webinar replay you can watch, which is called Quit Quitting. So look for Quit Quitting. And it's all about different strategies to engage teens and why they're quitting and figuring that out. And one of the strategies is jam band. So I fully explain it there and how you'd run it. Okay, no one's got it. So it is wait. Yeah, no, it's fine. Sorry, I thought I totally messed up. It's I'm not the only one. Because in the song he sings, I know I'm not the only one. For a second I thought I'd written N for no. I was going to be very embarrassed, but I didn't. It's I'm not the only one is the title of the song. Look it up if you haven't heard it before. That's what the start sounds like. So these are just little hooks that can give your student a way in. They can start to figure out the rest by ear, or you can use a chord chart, or you can just teach them that little thing and use it as a warm-up to your lesson. Don't have to be running a full-on jam band. Great for transfer students though as well, who like need some remedial work and you need something that feels more sophisticated than what they were doing with their other teacher. This is great for that. Okay, number 2. See if you can guess this one. That's all I'm giving you for that one. It's not even the chords. That's just the riff that opens it, but that's the most identifiable part, excuse me. So that I've just written the notes for that one there as a reminder. So it's G, F, Y, and it's C sharp, F sharp, E there. Anyone know that one? You can look up the chords and play along with the chords. That's what we do in jam band. But especially one of my students will always just figure out what like the bass line is underneath while he's listening. So it's great for that because it's really easy to find that one because it's just starting on the 5. So yeah, let me know if you can figure that one out. That one is the second most requested. I don't have the most requested up here, so I'll just tell you what it is. The most requested song in jam band for us is Call Me Maybe. Again, not a very new song, so you might be surprised what songs your students request. Like, there'll be all sorts of things that they request. Rolling Stones, older stuff, newer stuff, a whole mix of things, which is really fun. Okay, no one's got... Really easy to play, really good for beginner students. That is the little bass line from Good For You. Technically, I think she writes the song, the title is actually just a U rather than starting with Y, so maybe I tricked you there. Okay, next one, number 3. Let me show you it. So in this one we've got an F minor chord. And then I'll just show you actually on the overhead cam. It says C sharp, G sharp, D sharp. We're doing A, O, M. F minor, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp. Now we know, as people with more musical sense, we know that that's not a C sharp, it's a D flat. And this is an A flat. And this is an E flat. But for some reason all these chord charts that I find for guitars, someone can explain to me why, I would love to know. But for some reason they always write it in sharps. They hardly ever write flats, and I don't know why. It doesn't matter what key they're in. It doesn't make any logical sense. Oh, you got it, nice. Okay, so, yeah. So I wrote it out in sharps here just to point that out to you. In my head, I start thinking in flats, but since they're already in sharps, I leave it like that because again, it's just about learning how these charts work, and that is how they work. That's the reality. So this one, I'll just play it in a rhythm for you. Carrie already got this one. It is All of Me. Well done, Carrie. Oh my God, Rachel, that's what it is. Thank you for this. Look, we all have things we don't know. Rachel said Ultimate Guitar has a use flats function. So I have to turn that on, apparently. There, I learned something new. Thank you so much, Rachel. I do still wonder why that's an option. People just afraid of flats? I don't know. Anyway. So yeah, that indeed was All of Me. Great one for learning a chord pattern, and it also includes my favourite rhythm for pop songs. If you see me doing like little improv examples where I'm doing a teacher accompaniment, I'll often do that pattern because it shows up in so many pop songs and therefore it sounds recognisable to students. It sounds like music they're used to listening to, which is great. Okay, number 4. Let's try it. So this one is just I. There's no chance you don't know this. But tell me in the chat anyway. So I'm going to do it in a two-handed beginner-friendly version. I'm going to do that without the pedal to be more beginner-friendly. So it would be... Sorry. That's my beginner-friendly version. I knew you'd all get that one. Okay, but that's a good example of, it's an older song, your students still know them, okay? So don't be afraid that they're gonna think you're like not cool just because you start doing some exercise like this and they haven't given you requests. So all you can do is pull from what you know. If you just pick some of the most famous songs like Don't Stop Believing and Imagine, and that was Imagine, if I didn't say that already. And stuff like that, they will know it. They'll recognize it. Don't worry about it. And then if you keep going, they'll be like, oh, she does kind of know how to, this is kind of fun. And they'll start to make suggestions of songs. And some of them won't be great to play along to, but still humor them, like put it up anyway. If you can find any chords that go with it at all, and experiment together to see what works, playing along with it. When you're playing along with a song, you don't need it to be as pianistic as if you were having them play it on their own. And it's also not such a big deal. You just look up the chords, Just pull them up on your iPad, don't even need to print them, and play along with it once. But they know then, okay, she takes my music seriously, like it's all on the same playing field, which is what I want to get across to students really is you can come to me with reggae or hard rock or classical music or whatever, and I'm going to do my best to make it work for you if it can work on the piano. Does that make sense? Because it's all equal, even if it's not all equal in some respects. It is because it matters to them. Okay. Oh, good question, Carrie. So does each student play on a piano or do you pair them up? No, I only have the 2 pianos in this room, so that's what we use. So if there's me plus 3 other students, there'd often be 2 or 3 other students only. Teens are busy, right? So that's fine. So it would just be 2 pairs. And that works fine. You can play chords anywhere on the piano. You don't have to be in the right part of the piano. If we have more than that, someone will do percussion or like the xylophone, or I'll pull out the boom whackers or something as an extra option and we'll rotate. But usually I only have a few with me, so that works. If we just had 5, like including me, we would just sit at the pianos. You can fit 3 people on this bench. I promise, you really can. It's extra long. So I would sit at the bottom and like just do the bass line and then 2 students and 2 more over there. So that's kind of the maximum piano space I have. Okay, where are we up to? Number 5. I can count. 5. Okay. Number 5 is just S this time. Okay, this one I picked for a specific reason. I don't think you're going to recognize it. I'll be impressed if you do. But these are the chords. I'm going to play them in root position first. So F, B flat, D minor, C. Okay, so we all know what that chord progression is, yes? So it's 1, 4, 6, 5. Okay, 1, 4, 6, 5. Now, obviously I wouldn't jump around like that, but the students will, or they'll just be doing. I would probably do it with inversions. Now, in this song, this is going to be your only clue. I don't think you're going to guess it, as I said, because it's not really, yeah. This is your clue. It would be like this. Okay, as I said, I don't think that's guessable because it's just a progression of almost every song. But that is why I picked it. Motif said, we had a youth group song with that progression. Now it's all I can hear. Nice. Okay, so that is, I mean, it's obviously lots of things, but the S stands for Shotgun, which is that George Ezra song. Again, a little bit older at this stage, but it's one of the top favorites that's requested to play with. It's just so satisfying to play along with. So where I was doing, that's where we just play along with, where he's saying shotgun, someone. I was running through the words. Exactly like that. Anyway, the rhythm goes through the chorus. The reason I picked that one out for you though, specifically, is it's not just that progression. It is that progression for the whole song. You don't even need to look it up on Ultimate Guitar unless you want to sing the lyrics. You just write down those 4 chords and you play them on a loop for the whole song. So if you have a beginner, even one who isn't super comfortable navigating the keys yet and be able to read the letters at that speed and figure out what they are on the piano, they could just remember, or even easier, they can do it as, right? So say in one spot, or they can do it with 2 hands or whatever. And they can play that for the whole song. The entire thing, it never changes. So I just love that one for that reason. There obviously are other songs that do that, but that is one that students often like, and it is reliably 1, 4, 6, 5 whole thing. Okay, last one, here we go. So this is going into the broken part of my whiteboard. I really need to try and fix it at some stage, but this is what it looks like. It says I-F-T-Y-E, and the chord, these aren't chords actually, they're just notes, are F, A, G, A, B flat, C. Okay. Does anyone know what this is before I play it? Probably not. But think about the letters I-F-T-Y-E. Anyone know that one? I just happen to love this song as well. It's maybe a little bit mean, but not in an offensive way. Yeah, great hook, I agree. And it keeps going for the whole song. So they, I'll tell you, she made good use of it. Not catching it yet. Okay, I'll tell you. So I-F-T-Y-E, I forgot that you existed. It's a Taylor Swift song. It was on the Lover album. So not the current one that everyone's listening to right now. Why didn't I pull one from the one that everybody's listening to right now? Because they're just terrible on piano. Like, yeah, you can sort of play them. And if a student requested them for jam band, we would play along with them and it would be fine. But they're not one that I would pull out for this list of like, you can do it and people will catch on to it. Because they're just sort of wishy-washy. That's the style of the album. Like, it's supposed to be like that. And therefore, there's not much you can pick out to actually make it sound good in terms of the harmony. So, you were going to say Taylor Swift. You should have gone for it. You would have gotten a half point. Okay, there's no points. Anyway, I love that little riff. And I love that song. It's just fun. So that one is actually not on the jam band list because the student hasn't requested it, and I don't put my own stuff on there anymore. It's only stuff they add. We still have the ones that I put on at the start, just to leave them there. But anything new that we've added has been that a student has asked for it. And it doesn't matter what they ask for. So it can be from some obscure anime thing, and if I can find it, it goes in. No question. But that's just my jam band. You don't have to do it like that. We also use these songs and these little riffs, as I say, as warm-ups for piano lessons, as ways to work with transfer students who need something engaging that's not going to make them feel like they're going backwards. They're still doing something new and exciting and relevant to them, while you also weave in, you know, whatever you need to catch up on. So they're great for that. And also just those days when a student arrived like this, like they're just in a slump. Especially your teenagers, just arrive and, you know, the weight of the world is on their shoulders. This might break them out of the funk. It might give you a few minutes of calm relief from it. Maybe it doesn't, but it's worth a shot. And for some teens, it really will just shake them out of it, and it'll be fantastic. So I hope you enjoyed those 6. I deliberately didn't like put all the details below or anything like that for those chords, so you'll just have to grab them from what I played, because I don't want to, just want to be careful in terms of YouTube flagging us for anything. But you can easily pick them up from that, and you can just look up those songs online, look up the chords to them and use them that way yourself. Before I go, I wanted to let you know about a webinar that's happening next week. We have a masterclass coming up next Wednesday. It's at 6 p.m. my time, so that means it's like early afternoon, late morning, early afternoon in the US. 6 p.m. my time, a little bit later the other side of Europe, and obviously the middle of the night in Australia, New Zealand, Asia. But hopefully you can make it. So if you want to sign up for that, the link for our live things, it's always just vibrantmusicteaching.com/live. So you can go there to sign up for it. I hope you'll join me there. And it's going to be about interleaved teaching. So if you heard me talk about it a bit here on the show before, or even if you missed that, It's taking interleave practice and putting it into your lessons in a really fantastic way that could honestly revolutionize how efficient your lessons are and maybe how your students practice at home too. So I hope you'll join me for that. The show will be back just before that next week, so next Wednesday, same time as always, 3 p.m. Irish time. And we have a special guest next week as well. So Susan Staples Bell is coming on the show. She's one of our featured composers in the current concept collection. That is a lot of C's. But she's one of the featured composers in the current concept collection, which is about the other pedals. So if you remember, you might have seen it. You get to hear from Susan next week. We'll be going live together to talk about the book and some of her other compositions and the composing process. So I hope I will see you there. Bye everyone.